After waiting 7 years since Book of the Atlantic hit theaters, I was convinced that the Black Butler anime went the way of every cartoon on HBO Max and was destined to become a musical central franchise. As I watched the surprisingly incredible musical surpass where the anime left off, and nearly 100 chapters of the manga go by, I had given up hope I would ever see Joanne shit his pants in glorious color. Until now. Until the day it went live on Crunchyroll, I refused to get my hopes up after so many years of rumors about the Western arc being animated. But I am very pleased to sit before you today and tell you that the whole season aired, and it was glorious. Having read through the Western arc a number of times at this point, I thought I knew what I was in for, but I was blown away. Today I'm going to break down why the story, the voices in the sub, and the animation, and most importantly, the last 5 minutes of this season make it worth a watch. So what is this new season about anyway? Basically, this arc is broken up into 3 parts. Schoolboy tropes, sports anime tropes if you can believe it, and shit hitting the fan. It starts following the classic girl formula of the main pair, Ciel and Sebastian, getting word from the queen. This being that her cousin's son, Derek Arden, has not been home from the school for quite some time and is refusing to be seen. Positive that this is not a rebellious phase and is instead probably something more sinister, Ciel decides to take on the case himself and enroll in Weston, a boarding school for uppy-class, snooty-rich boys in the middle of the semester in order to find answers. He gets sorted into Blue House with all the smarty pants boys and starts his schoolboy era. He gets off to a rough start, immediately breaking a few rules/traditions of the college, which, I'll be honest, it feels very unlike Ciel to go into a situation like this unprepared without all the information needed to succeed, but I think this has 2 possible explanations. Firstly, an actual plot point in this arc, which honestly I love, is that Ciel underestimates the people around him because for the first time he's not going up against some underworld or otherworldly mastermind. He's going up against school children. Ciel walks into the situation feeling as though he's untouchable and actually internally mocks the other students.
Another gormless tradition? What is that pose about? Oh, I didn't realize this was a school for cliquish hens.
This leads to Ciel having to sink to a new low in order to get his way. Being a tween boy. Terrifying.
My peerage and wealth are meaningless in these halls.
The other reason, probably just to get that exposition out of the way about the P4 and the Ys and the grass and the junk. Around this time, we also meet our other main characters, the P4. Gregory Violet, Edgar Redmond, Lawrence Bluer, and Herman Greenhill. And truly, I will never stop laughing about their names because I'm sure it sounds badass in any other language and it's an interesting Easter egg, but in English it's like, wow, what are the odds that the people with the color puns for last names made the P4? Funny. Yeah, but either way, the P4 are the heads of the houses and oversee all the goings-on for their respective squads. Each prefect is uniquely suited for their position and excels in the house's specialty, red being status, blue being smarts, violet being artistic talent, and green being athletic ability. We're also introduced to the lower master because the headmaster, who'd usually be about, is mysteriously unavailable. Ciel is then hazed by the boys in the Blue House and is rescued by everyone's favorite bastard, Sebastian. Yay! And it's revealed by the end of the episode that Ciel made the unfortunate mistake of saying,
For your part, I'll need support without risk of exposure. I leave the how to you.
Forgetting Sebastian is the cheekiest demon in all of hell. It is implied that he made a vacancy for Housemaster so he could be added to the chessboard as another pawn, or whatever Ciel says. Although, arguably, Sebastian spends a whole lot of time not going out of his way to help the kid, just like always. At this point, we're also introduced to the Drudges. Yeah, they made the probably smart choice to change the term in the manga to Drudges in the anime. Anyway, the Drudges are kind of like Weston's big buddy, little buddy program. The upper class boys basically choose a butler or a brother, more like, to help them with tasks like cleaning, prepping food, etc., and preparing them for their later years at Weston. Ciel realizes through some snooping and inquiring about the midnight tea parties, becoming one of the P4's Drudges may just be Ciel's best bet in finding Derek Arden. Sorry, I can't stop doing that. And figuring out the secrets of Weston College. So the race is on, and Ciel has to fight his urge to just kill off the people standing in his way, deal with petty schoolboy drama that results in violence, and then living up to his father's legacy at a cricket tournament. Yeah, like I said, there's a lot going on in this arc, but I love that about it. Never a dull moment, as you can probably tell by my incredibly long-winded introduction to the story. One thing I really love about it is it's so interesting to see CL not up against some big scary villain. And there's a lot of reading between the lines when it comes to the way his character acts in the story. I think he really does care about a lot of the aspects about being alive and enjoying it, much to his dismay knowing he's going to die someday and not wanting to be too attached. It can be argued CL didn't care about the tournament or school or his friends at all, proof being his conversation with Sebastian in the hospital, but I think he just wants to save face with Sebastian. He always has something to prove, and I just love that part of his character. I was skeptical about this voice cast at first, but the sub is fantastic. There are a lot of returners, of course, that never disappoint, like CL, Sebastian, Agni, and Soma, etc., but there are some new ones also that do a really good job fitting the characters. There are some really good moments in the sub that the cast just really outdid themselves, like Cole's meltdown, Agni's like my prince, and overall 10 out of 10 great experience. The dub though, yikes, I am at my core a Black Butler dub defender. I love their silly little accents. I love how it gets more and more British every season with their quirky words and whatever. But some of the casting just feels wrong. And I don't want to waste time harping on it. I just wanted to point out some particularly disappointing performances. Starting with Maurice Cole, his baby voice is rough.
Yes, of course. And today we were discussing Weston's brilliant new student.
But when he gets pissed, it's actually pretty good. Macmillan just does not fit whatsoever in my head.
You're a lucky one, aren't ya? Stepping on the lawn and getting off scot-free.
He needs to be more baby. CL and Macmillan should have this like brotherly relationship, and the way his part is voice acted just takes away that connection between the two of them for me. Clayton, oh god.
Welcome to our boarding house, Phantom Hive.
Why does he sound like a cartoon villain? Vincent got a new voice actor.
It's not Moleface. It's Vincent Phantom Hive, as you know.
Hopefully just for his teenage voice. Diedrich got a new voice actor.
Don't call me Diedrich. Really, Phantom Hive.
Why is he British? I know we don't have a lot in his backstory, but it implies at least he comes and goes from Germany. He was German in Book of Circus. And finally, Soma. Oh. So I did some research as to why they changed his voice actor from veteran VA Christopher Ayers to Abhi Kumar. I saw a lot of people talking about how it's because they wanted to replace him with an actual VA of color or someone younger, someone who fits the character more. As it turns out, he actually passed away in 2021 from pulmonary disease. That's so sad. I didn't necessarily love Christopher's performance as Soma, because he really isn't supposed to have that harsh of an accent, but he was a pretty common figure in the voice acting world, and I was really sad to not see him return, and just hearing this was actually really heartbreaking. So how does Kumar fill those shoes? I can't knock him too much because he seems like a really cool guy. He was quoted saying he grew up watching Black Butler and loving Soma, so I feel bad, but this is his first major voice acting role, and god.
Yes, I understand. Leave it all to me, my dour and diffident friend.
You can tell. It just is not good. I went on his Twitter and listened to his voice acting reel, and it's just really not that bad, so I can't understand why he's so breathy, so hard to understand, and his accent is just all over the place.
Why don't we start with supper? Just the three of us and curry. Parta then?
Also, just in the dub in general, they made a few mistakes, like they called Diedrich Greenhill, and I understand how they got there. There's not a really good translation for, like, senpai, but that's just wrong.
Greenhill? There's no need to be rash.
Out of everything there is to discuss about this season, the one thing I think they knocked it out of the park with is the animation. The stills from the cliff's edge and the owl in the night, the stylized watercolor-esque art for the explanations of the prefix, and the thing I don't want to spoil, and then just the CG has come so far. Remember the opening of Book of the Atlantic? It is quaking at this teacup right here. I could go on forever about the lighting in the chapel or in the boat scene, but I will spare you. I'm just so pleased with the dedication that these animators gave to bringing this arc to life. And I haven't even mentioned the opening yet, which just might be the best yet. The Book of Circus opening will always be my favorite because it has such a special place in my heart, but this one is just perfect in every way. Especially when they got it in black here that Sebastian is CL's drudge. That's my favorite part. That's hilarious. The only thing I don't get is like the Titan. Besides, I guess, the vague implication of the overarching metaphorical trouble. The only thing I would really change about the animation is, at this point, it's really important, I guess in the manga at least, to start including those like star lights that go over the characters. I'll add them in here. They show them a few times in this arc, at least once that I can remember off the top of my head. And I think that needs to be in the animation. It's so important. If you know, you know. Anyway, as much as this arc is not my favorite arc by any means, it is really special. Because it's right before my favorite arc. I mean because it's something different. If you're a fan of Black Butler, I highly suggest giving this a watch because it gives you a new perspective on Ciel and Sebastian's characters, their dynamic. The overarching story does progress quite a bit, especially in the last episode, which plays for the most part is just a day in the life. This arc is also, most importantly, the last time you really see Ciel happy, if you can call it that. The moments that are not shrouded in misery and despair after he leaves the steps of Weston are few and far between, especially in the next arc. When I started writing this script, it was going to be trying to convince you to watch the Weston arc for the sole purpose of getting the Green Witch arc animated, but it was recently confirmed. I was hoping it wasn't too far behind after the preview we got at the end of the episode, but it's coming next year, and if you enjoyed the public school arc, or at this point are at least interested in watching it, you should be very afraid of what's to come. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is my first video regarding animation, but I'd love to do more in the future. Let me know if you want to see more Black Butler content. I've been thinking about doing one about Ciel and Sebastian's complex dynamic, so let me know if you want to see that. Until then, I'm Eric Artist, and goodbye.